So a lot of cool stuff going on, guys. Thank y'all for being here and taking some time to sit down and record
The
this
Mid
stuff.
South Classic Show. What do you think?
The Mid South Classic Show. I was thinking about that, but then we were talking about that idea where we were going to let one of these guys sponsor it, and whatever their business is, it could be their business.
So if you have a business out there,
I think that would be the move, right? If you're
There's your
interested,
plug.
if you think it's a good plug for you, we're definitely interested in that because I'm not married to that Mid South name. I'm definitely married to sponsorship ideas, though.
Yeah.
So, but beyond that, sorry,
turn that off.
Yeah, I guess I don't want to watch me roll with Jesse anymore. Jesse's really good though. But anyways, like we were saying before, a lot of crazy stuff going on. What I want you to pull up right now is Hotel Costa Verde in Manuel Antonio, Costa Rica.
Verde. So, keep on introducing people.
Send
Sorry.
that.
Over here, we got our engineer,
Send that to there if you want to.
That's
sound
Okay.
savant, our personal Jamie. His name's Isaac.
Is it Isaac?
Isaac.
Yeah.
It's Isaac.
It's not Isaac.
No. ISAAC, not ISSAC. Everybody tries to spell it ISSAC.
And then Brandon Veal, the man. It's his studio. Thank you for letting us come in here and be like, this is a really cool spot. So I hope we get to keep going and making more stuffs in here because this is
Come share this for me, Brandon.
dope. This is our first time doing it, so we're working out some kinks. We're just talking through some things, some ideas that we all have kind of cooking. We're gonna put this up on my YouTube channel, but this isn't only my ideas. Most of the stuff we're working all kind of in different, collabs with different people and different levels. We have the Mid-South tournament coming up again, January the 16th. So I guess we can kind of lead with that stuff. What we're looking for, though, is we still need a couple 145 guys, like 2. And then we still need some ladies of any weight. It's really surprising because I hear all the time about how we need more competitions for ladies. People want to compete for money. And then we're having a really hard time filling it. And maybe it's because I didn't, push people really hard during the holidays and stuff. But I feel like maybe that was a reason that people didn't jump on board for this one.
It's an open weight class, correct?
It's open weight for women. So
for the women.
Yeah, and that's the thing that they may be afraid of that as an overall idea. And I get that, it's a little bit scary if somebody's got 50 or 60 pounds on you.
Right.
To jump in there and just roll hard. But we're going to try to get that squared out. In the meantime, we're definitely going to still run the brackets that we have. We're going to get ready to stream it live here on the channel. Yeah, so everything's just in motion, but I feel like we're definitely at the beginning of everything still. This next tournament is going to be another one to kind of try to see what it's going to be like again. The first one went off and we didn't really know what it was going to be like then at all. And so now we kind of have some plans for what we want to do. And I think from here, we're going to be able to get that next part right, and make it something else, find a venue for it that's going to be cool and put it on
kind of bring a show to it a little bit
on a stage.
Yeah.
If you will. So we have ideas on that. And so all these things are definitely plugging in together. We have the school here in Perry, which is doing great. We got some really good students and people that are coming in, dropping in and training and coming in and hanging out with us and stuff like that. So that's going great. The growth of that is going to facilitate the growth of other things. We've got other guys that we're helping bring in there, come in and teach and trying to start going to other schools in the South area again, South Georgia area, to be teaching and spreading the good word of the 10th Planet system to everybody a little bit. Excited. And then like we're talking about Costa Rica here, we're really gearing up to get that idea started too for the push for that.
You want me to go to CostaVerde.com?
Yeah, that'll probably be okay, honestly. Or you can go to the YouTube channel. I bet there's some videos on YouTube that'll give you the best thing. But this is where we're gonna try to get that. Actually, that picture right there at the top. That's where we're gonna try to. We got to go down there and meet with them, and we're gonna have that space rented for the mats. Hopefully, um, if not, there's space at the house that we have that's gonna be big enough to accommodate. But we still want to go in and invest and get this space here because it's so cool. Um, with that, we're gonna be able to host probably 10 more people than we would be able to if we only do it at the house. So I think it's gonna be worth investing in that because we can make it a bigger deal. Um, and we don't have to, but I kind of want to now at this point because it's an option. So we're gonna go down in the next month or two and bring out a tape measure and measure things and see exactly what the lay of the places are that we have. And if the house that we have actually has the space, then we don't need to move it to Costa Verde this year. But if we need to or want to, this is where we wanted to have it the first time. So pull up some of those YouTube videos if you would really quickly. At this place they redid some of the just go to probably YouTube or something like that. If yeah, over here. Not the studio part. But with that stuff, we can hold more people. It's gonna be really like cool to be able to train like that. And they also have a space that's fully under a roof. Um, so that'll give us coverage from any potential rain stuff in case that happens. But barring any rain, we'll have it out there on the platform at the helicopter pad or at the house that we're calling the big house for this year's event. We have some other guests that are going to be taking part in it. I don't really want to really announce too much about that stuff right now. But looking at this place, yeah, just check out that one. That's cool, the top one. Like this in and of itself, I don't know if we'll get in trouble. Will we?
I don't think so.
Maybe mute it. Maybe that's the thing.
We won't put it up on the whole
Okay.
the screen.
And so, but if you want, they just got some old planes and they rebuilt them into like hotel room, basically suites. Yeah.
How many can you take?
To what? To this whole event.
Mhm.
So we have
That's cool.
20 basically verbal committed. We have 10 paid for right now. We got about 10 more that are verbally committed that we've got to get the deposits from. And then that's what I say, we got to get boots on the ground again one more time to get the tape measure out. But then another 10, maybe 20, maybe 15 more people. That's to say we got to get the tape measure out to see how much mat space we got to get.
Oh,
Because-
that's amazing.
Yeah, and so we wanted to go there first, but it didn't work out that we could get enough people in there logistically to do it the right way. So I rented the big house to do it with just a smaller group personally. And then
Right.
when it did so well, and then we didn't get to go this year because of coronavirus, all those people that wanted to go this year obviously were like, yeah, I want to go. And then other people that didn't even know about it last year have heard about it now and they're interested in kind of going. So that's going to open up the rest of the space that we kind of had that I think I had envisioned maybe using at the house. But I think there's also more interest. And so
Yeah.
now we may be able to, if we didn't already have the money invested in the other location, we probably could have went ahead and gone for this like Grand Slam spot right here
Yeah.
and did it big like we wanted to, because this guy that the people that own this, they own all the little restaurants that we like to visit while we're down there and stuff, most of them. So it's the move to make to get in and start doing business down there because we love it. Like this started because of, again, like we talk about this stuff. Sorry for people who weren't around and listening to us ramble the one day when I didn't have my voice, but like we've talked about this kind of stuff before. Most of the stuff really kind of that I'm doing is like a passion project overall. Otherwise, I wouldn't really be doing it. What we did is my wife and I and our two kids, when they were a few years younger, about 3 or 4 years ago at this point, we went on vacation down here to Costa Rica to Manuel Antonio with our family and one of our cousins. And I met a guy that's doing jiu-jitsu down here and trained and taught with him a little bit while I was down there.
How'd you find him?
Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, just Googled Facebook or Googled BJJ Manuel Antonio, and it came up with his Facebook stuff. And with that, just kind of started messaging back and forth that I was coming down to visit, who I was, wanted to train and do stuff like that. So doing that kind of morphed into sitting at a coffee shop, this beautiful space that this person actually, the same people own this. They actually turned another big, like I think it was a drug running plane that they found in the woods somewhere. They had it pulled out. They repurposed it, and now it's a bar at this restaurant called El Avion. It also has this really cool little cafe spot that me and my cousin would like to go to every morning and have a little coffee and see the ocean, the sunrise a
Yeah.
little bit, have a little, baguette or whatever, and some stuff to take back home to have with breakfast and stuff like that, just like really cool and chill. And there would be monkeys or really beautiful like birds and stuff that would fly by, and, just really like an experience that I had never really had
Surreal.
before. Right. And so while we were sitting there, we just talked about how cool it would be to come back and be able to teach and train and stuff. And he was like, "Yeah, man, you should try to set up some kind of training camp situation." And like I was like, "Nah, I don't know, man, that would be cool, but I don't know if it would work. I don't know." And then he just kept telling me all the reasons why it would work. And I was just like, I think it might work, So we started just kind of talking about it. And I threw the idea out to a couple of my friends and students, however, combination of my favorite, the ones that like me the most, I guess, however, and people that I thought would want to go on a trip like that and spend time with me. After a couple of other iterations, obviously in my mind, that's kind of where we settled at. And we did one a couple of years ago, and it drew like 7 or 8 people total, which was better than we needed because we didn't spend any money for it or whatever. We
Wow,
were just
yeah.
renting the yoga studio that my friend Lorenzo's family has that he teaches out of. So we just kind of paid them a little bit of the money to go in and teach and train. And so basically just broke even almost on a training trip. And so that gave me proof of concept, I guess I would say. And so from there, the same people that I went this first time, pretty much every one of them like wanted to go again. They're like, "We'll definitely do this again." And I was like, "Well, what if I made it more grand? Like, what if I made it more of like a VIP deal? What could we do with that?" And they were just like, "Show us what it looks like or whatever kind of deal." And I did, and most of them all agreed plus, And so it's now morphed into this thing where there's other people that are interested. Nobody's got to go anywhere the last several years, or not several years, but the last several months. It feels like
Yeah.
several years, but I think it's a thing that, I think it's going to be a good opportunity. And like I said, there's other people that are coming probably once we get the tape measures out and figure everything out that are going to make it a lot more special. Even if not for other people, it would be cool for me to have some of the guests that are kind of talking about coming down. So that's something to definitely stay tuned and look out for as well. Um, I guess this can be like a little general announcements kind of show or something like that for us or whatever.
It's just gonna be your channel. I mean, it's all on your channel.
That's
That
all.
was a dump. That was a lot of stuff.
I know,
That was
just kind
great.
of like blah, blah, blah. And there's more too. That's what I'm saying is that there's so much more stuff going on.
But wait, there's more.
So we can that's what I'm saying. I'm ready to go. I've had all this stuff kind of pent up inside of me for a long time. I think I've wanted to have these opportunities, but then I was always too small in my mind to accept a lot of them. And now I'm ready to accept, the opportunity to be who I can be more fully this year because, man, last year was terrible. It sucked being locked down like that. Like I realized how much the things I like to do matter to me more.
Yeah.
So I want to do more of that kind of stuff. And it's just, I get to take my wife. I get to take my 2 kids. They get to hang out in this exotic location. I get to teach jujitsu to cool people who want to come and hang out with me and do jujitsu in this exotic location. Like, why would I not want to pursue that and not want to do that, as much as I possibly can?
Yeah. Every quarter.
At least, so we got to start with one. And then we did one. And so now if we can do a second one, like the coronavirus definitely tried to knock us out, like everything. But we've been able to stay. I think, honestly, it saved us that we were new. Everything,
Yeah.
I think that gave me this weird advantage on other people. That people who were more established, they needed they needed what they already had more than I needed starting out.
Mm.
And so it's been okay. I've been where I would probably be anyway, almost. It would be, but I would have gotten a different vibe of people coming through the door every day because
Yeah.
the people who came are people who wanted to come and grapple, not people who didn't, oh, no,
Yeah.
everybody, they knew what they were getting into. They understood, so we built a really good team. And like I said, I think I'm getting proof of concept in my teaching style every day here with the students I have now. We've had 7 months and they're doing really good. I've given away two
Is that
blue.
it?
Yeah. I've given
That's
away two
crazy.
blue belts in the 7 months, which is kind of fast in a calendar sense of being open versus giving away blue belts. But both of these guys were previous experience from other gyms, multiple other gyms actually.
Yeah.
They're military guys. And so anybody that's trained a little bit knows how they've met the military dude who's moved
Yeah.
15 times or whatever it is, or at least 2 or 3 times. So and I had to move a few times. And so my progression was slower than people who got to stay
Yeah.
in a certain place longer too. And that's understandable because the more you get to know your instructor, the more that you're there, the more they trust you to give you, rank and stuff like that. But I see these guys value and I see their skill set and stuff like that already. It's already there. And so there's no reason to necessarily have held them
Right.
any longer for reason other than just like, I'm just going to hold you to hold you. And like, I was just like, I didn't want to do it. I felt like they deserved it. And just in case anything happened, maybe they had to move again, and then what if they moved again? They were now another blue belt somewhere else or whatever. They were doing good enough. They were already good enough, kind of deal. So I gave away a couple blue belts in the 7 months, but it's because the guys are doing the work.
Yeah.
They're hitting the stuff in rolls. They're showing up. We have 8 classes a week. One of the guys comes to 8 classes a week. He went to some seminars that I went to. He's in it. And other guys are, Coach, I will be there, but I have to work.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I understand.
Yeah.
I need you to go to work too, man.
Yeah.
That's an agreement we
It's
both
nothing
got.
against you. Nothing against you.
Right.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. But they're in it, and it's cool to see my stuff working, my guys doing my thing, and it's working for them, and it's becoming their thing,
Yeah.
and seeing them. And this is something we talked about a little bit before, but like we got our first competition coming up as a team.
Which comp?
I think it's New Breed, January the 30th.
Yeah.
And so we're taking our first group of guys and girls out as a team to compete. And that's really interesting because I don't know what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
It's a little bit nerve wracking, but I'm setting my expectations right where they should be as a white belt competing, what to expect. It's not a bunch of black belts out there competing. They're not going to be well polished. I'm going to be surprised if most of them even hear me say anything to them, even the ones that do well in class the first time you go out there in the mat.
That blood rush to your ears.
So like I've been helping form like game plans for people, and it's so funny. And sometimes it's haha funny, but funny like peculiar funny to hear people now not even understand like building a game plan. I just been doing it so long now, kind of, that I just do it subconsciously for other people sometimes too. But they'll be like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "Oh, you just this, and this." But what do you like? And like, what do you mean? They don't know what they like. They just show up to class and they like what I tell them.
I get it. Yeah.
And it's weird. You know what I mean? It's like, well, all they've done is show up and they do what I ask them to do in class, which is awesome. But now it's like, okay, you have choice. And they're like, what? I don't know. It's like, all right, well, now you got to know. If you're going to go compete, it's not up to me anymore what you need to do. I can tell you all day long what you need to do, but you have to know what you're going to do. What are you going to do? Because I was trying to show, were you there? What was that we were trying to do the other night? And everybody was scared to like get up because they were, I guess.
Oh, the hangman triangle?
Oh, yeah, the hangman triangle from like the wizard and dogfight where you do the triangle. You got to hang off of
Yeah.
their back and then swing around. It's hard for me to demonstrate that on someone that doesn't have a good skill set because they've got to also be playing the right way for me to hit that.
Right.
Because if I hang my weight on them the right way, I oftentimes don't get this triangle. They fall.
Right.
Like I rarely hit that in a live way. But I've seen so many other people just nail it.
And
And
look
like
smooth
and smaller
and
guys
yeah.
kill it with each other. And like what made me think of it was the fact that the way that I play my dogfight game coming up from like Z-Guard and different things like that, I like to do it one way. But then when I was watching some of the live tape back and playing it back and sharing it online, some of the other students that are more advanced noticed, I've seen you do this a couple different ways. Why would you do this? Because I'm telling you to do this. Why are you doing this now when it's going live? And it's like, well, because he's picking me up. Yeah. So I do it a different way when the guy's picking me up versus what I would do if the guy's smashing me down. It's the same situation, but in one situation, the guy's strong enough that when I'm hanging on him, he's picking me up. But in the exact same situation, this guy's not strong enough to pick me up off the ground. So he's just going to be smashing me, quote, down. So the play can be the same, but the reaction is definitely different. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so, but to do that hangman triangle, though, you have to be willing to swing your weight up and land in a triangle.
Right.
And I thought that was something that was going to be well received by the group. Honestly, like I thought it was going to be just like, all right, they're going to kill this. And then we got in there and they were not feeling it. And they were uncomfortable swinging off of somebody that way.
I think part of that too was that you had quite a few people that were not able to support the person swinging. So like you said, it would be an entirely different move at that point.
I didn't realize that was going to be the problem at first.
Right.
But it turned, and so that's another interesting point of being a new coach or a coach of a new team. They don't know how to react yet.
Right.
It's like, wow, do something, and then they're just like, what do you mean? And it's like, do the thing we just did all week. Huh? It's like, yeah, that thing. And
that thing
like,
we've done for
a week. Oh, okay.
It is a terrible feeling to.
I remember being that way.
Be asked to show, like, hey, come help me show this, and then you're like it's awful. That's a terrible feeling for the student too.
Is it a terrible feeling for the student because of the way that it's presented, or is it just a terrible feeling in general?
Well, somebody that's new and now all the eyes are on them for just a second.
It doesn't matter.
You're gonna feel stupid.
Yeah.
And so this is another thing
I've been there.
I did recently in the last week or so, getting ready for the competition. And because other people have asked, like we have all levels, like sometimes we'll have Taylor and stuff in there who's a black belt, and then we'll have other just white belts. And they're like, well, how would you teach a class that keeps everybody interested? And it's like, well, typically, like say from the Z-guard position to get the dogfight or whatever, maybe we just need to go for the white belt. You need to understand maybe what Z-guard is, or even how you would have gotten to a Z-guard.
Right.
Like why would you even do a Z-guard? And then from that, just doing the part where you get the underhook and getting to the dogfight position is enough for a whole day. Probably.
Yeah.
But for the black belt in class, he's got that.
Right.
That's stupid to him. Not stupid in a bad way, but just like, I'm bored now with that part. I need more.
Right.
And so it's like, that's why I set the class up to where each person kind of gets their own designated drilling part for each movement and stuff.
Okay.
Each partner gets like 5 minutes to drill it the way they want to kind of drill it, and then they switch top bottom, and then the other person gets to take their turn. Because you and Isaac are going to be doing it differently at different levels maybe in your partner. So he may only be getting a dogfight, but then you may be getting to the knee tap part because you understood the rest of it already from previous experience, or vice versa.
Yeah.
The guys that are basic wrestlers understand dogfight very well, but they can't get there from their back without getting choked.
Because they're so terrified about the pin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's really like playing that out now for the last couple of weeks has been extremely interesting to me, because one of the white belts, like we were talking about too, is super strong and like doesn't have any experience except for like a year of wrestling. So he doesn't do anything, quote, right. Yeah. But it doesn't work. Nothing works against him hardly. Like I have to literally wear him down, and then when he gets tired, I can tap him. But until he is exhausted, he just gets out of stuff. Unless I was just probably hammering it down on him in a way that was just like,
You'd have to break something.
right, like
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna. And
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Isaac knows. Isaac's rolled with
Yeah.
him enough times now too. It's like it's funny, and it's become a thing in class when he's there. Like I'll demo stuff with other people, and then I was like, all right, Jamie, come out here. We're gonna demo with you. Let's see what happens.
Go.
Go. This is what I want to do, and then when Jamie does what he does, I'm gonna do this way.
Because he does. He gets out of stuff in weird ways. He
And,
gets
like,
out like in odd ways.
I did a butterfly hook sweep on him the other day, and he literally bridged when he landed in the sweep, ran his feet, and passed my guard, and didn't ever land on his back. It's a weird form of wrestling. Like wrestlers don't do that.
Bridge 101.
Bridge, just bridge. It's like we're gonna come out with
$59.99.
the BJJ fanatics are missing the boat on this one. We're gonna get that cash. Just bridge.
Just bridge.
It works.
Hashtag.
It's so like I've started to wear them out now, so the bridge is less effective at about minute 4.5. But God, if you can't make it to there,
It's a long.
it's a long 4 minutes.
It's a long 4 minutes.
He looked
I
like a
love it.
stud.
It's
Yeah, for
exciting.
sure.
It's exciting for me as a coach because, like I said, my goal is for all of y'all to beat me up eventually with finesse. Though I don't want you to really hurt me because I want to be able to keep training myself too. So I want you to know how to beat me.
What's the average age at your gym right now, do you think?
Average?
Excluding the kids.
Average adult 30, 33, 4,
Yeah.
5, maybe 30 probably is the good answer though. Seems about right because we got some 37, 38s, and then a few early 20s. And then Che cross trains at both, but I think Che's probably in his late 40s, maybe.
I believe I was
James
shocked
Andrews.
when I found out his actual age.
Yeah, he looks really good for that age.
Yeah. Like that's a compliment. Shocked in a good way.
Yeah, so he would probably be the outlier on one position, and then our youth would probably be either probably Jamie or Garrett, who are 21, 22 years old.
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
How many do you have competing?
I have about 8 or 9 that are verbally so far, and a couple that are kind of on the fence, and some that like are talking about injury stuff. And it's like, well, you don't need to compete then. Trying to talk them out of it. If it, you don't need to do your first company. It's not like a
You ain't going out there fighting for free.
right. It's not a warrior culture kind of deal here. It's like if you feel good, go compete. But if you're hurt, don't, because I don't want you to be more hurt from trying to compete.
Did you compete in MMA first or jiu-jitsu first?
I did a lot of jiu-jitsu first. I didn't win any of it, but I did a lot of jiu-jitsu first.
How was your
I actually
first
won.
competition?
I
How'd that
lost
go?
0-2 on the takedown to Nate, and he just lay on top of me in my closed guard, and he won because I didn't know anything. I trained for about 3 weeks.
Right on.
Lesson learned.
Hey, Malcolm.
They don't stand it up. They don't stand up jiu-jitsu matches.
Yeah.
So regardless of what you think about MMA, if you're going out to do a jiu-jitsu match and the guy takes you down and it's a points match and he gets to 2 points, if you just keep him in your closed guard and don't open it up, he's still going to win. They're not going to make him stand up. That was the damnedest thing I'd ever heard, but it's a true story. Dude,
Yeah.
I'm the guy that you make fun of that comes in the gym. I was going to be the
Slam your way out.
I was the country boy, right? I headbutted a guy in the chest to open closed guard in one of my first few classes.
Did it work?
Yes, of course. If it didn't, I was about to do it again. But I didn't hit him in the face, but it was right in his chest, man. They're like, dude, what are you doing? And it's like, I thought that's what we were doing.
Opening his. I thought we were fighting.
I've been seeing VHS tapes and stuff, man. I'm from the country hood.
You came for combat jiu-jitsu.
I came for fighting. I came for MMA. I did jiu-jitsu because I was going to do MMA. And then once I realized I couldn't just knock people out, I needed to do jiu-jitsu. And then I just fell in love with it versus striking. But even back in Bainbridge, before I was doing this, there were guys that, like the whole Kimbo Slice kind of deal. We would show up on Friday nights and put on boxing gloves and I would fight random dudes. And I did really good, until it started getting to the point where, and I didn't never do bad, but it got to the point where they were like, all right, this guy's coming in from this other town now.
So trying
and
to
they
fight
want to
you.
bet money on you. And it's like, nah, son, I ain't doing all that stuff. Like, I'm doing this, like, I was just doing it for fun,
Right.
technically, and like piss on people's leg, I guess, technically. Not for any, like, I didn't want to bring any ringers. I knew I didn't know how to fight. Technically, you know what I mean? Like,
Did you deep down know you didn't know how to fight, or did you
Oh, for
outright
sure.
just know, like, if I got in here and the dude actually knew what he was doing, like, I'd be
He
in
beat
trouble?
me up. Yeah. Like, I could fight because I could overwhelm people, and I was never afraid to get into it.
But you were honest about that
But I knew that
to yourself.
I had been out fought before. and maybe still won or whatever too, though. But like that myth of invincibility, I'd already fought enough that it'd been pulled back in a way.
That ego death.
And that's why I left to go do this, partially too.
That's cool though.
Incident, with someone, and it wasn't all, squared up fisticuffs or whatever, but it taught me a good life lesson about what Coach Jimmy calls proper violence and when and how to use stuff, and it sent me down a good road of perspective. But yeah, I've always been a tough guy that liked to fight, So this is all playing right into my childhood dreams of being a professional wrestler and promoter and manager or whatever, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like this is
Vince
literally,
McMahon.
this is it, son. This is it. It's just them morphed into this jiu-jitsu thing, but now it's no gi. Nobody's wearing the uniforms where we're doing it. We got our thing going on. It's cool. I'm teaching seminars once the world opens back up again. Hopefully people will bring me back out there. Hopefully they're still open and operating in those places. I don't know. Like that's why I haven't went other places, because most of the schools that I would go to aren't able to host, except for the local ones. I like to travel and teach. I like to compete.
Is that something pretty normal with the 10th Planet system? I'm getting more acquainted with it now.
Yeah, I mean,
everybody's kind of like sharing and passing through the network type deal.
Innovation, man, and like good guys have good stuff, and we understand more. And I don't want to say more than anyone else, but we understand more within each other that certain people do certain things better than you might. Like, I'm really good at what I do, but this guy, you may need to go talk to this guy about your truck game.
Right.
You may need to go talk to this guy about rubber guard. If I was going to play whatever, I would go talk to, or if I was going to talk to rubber guard, I would probably go talk to Eddie or Boogie or Jeremiah Vance. If I was going to play truck, maybe Geo, maybe Gay. It just like, it depends. And that's just the people that I know personally, but there's other people in the system like Nathan Orchard, who's an encyclopedia stuff. B-Mac's really good. PJ Barcher's really good. Like, there's so many guys that I don't even think of off the top of my head that are good. Scaff's really good from Brandon's. Brian Brown down in Jacksonville is going to be really known in a few years. He's really tough. Those guys are coming on strong now. He's been open for a few years. So that's kind of what it takes, though. That's the curve to get to a upper level, is that you got to have upper level people that you've developed, and you can't develop those people in a week or a month or a year. Right. Or 2 years or 3 years. It takes about 5 or so once you start getting your own brown and black belts. That's 10 years or so, right? Most of the time. And so it's the long game. We're playing the long game with that stuff. And there's a lot that's what I'm saying. I think everybody understands who does what the best.
So was this tournament style type deal that you've come up with now, is that something that you've born out of that?
Shot lifted straight from the system. It's not necessarily maybe Eddie's idea, but a lot of it is Eddie's ideas. I think Eddie's idea was the combat jiu-jitsu stuff, and EBI is what was allowed first.
Yeah, he wasn't allowed with the commissions and whatnot, right?
And then people fell in love with EBI, and so now it's a thing. It's its own style, but it's not what he's the most into all the time. He's more into the combat jiu-jitsu. That's what he's trying to prove, more or less. It's like, what's the way to do jiu-jitsu with strikes and stuff, like not stand up, not, that's what we said on this on the No Gi Required podcast. John Jacques got a podcast out, if y'all didn't know that. It's called No Gi Required, and that's like a double entendre. Yeah, so it's really good. He had Eddie on this week, and Eddie's kind of talking about that stuff, and he's like, we're just collecting data on what works, and I think that's the whole thing. And that, not necessarily that other people don't do that, but as a system, that is what we are trying to do. Eddie's trying to collect data from high-level competition and seeing what wins when you can do everything, kind of. But as jiu-jitsu, not Muay Thai. Right. Like, we know Muay Thai. He said, we know Muay Thai, Western boxing on the feet. You get a little bit of wrestling. Cool, we know that. But there's the get-down rule in combat jiu-jitsu. After a minute, you have to get on the ground. There's no stand-ups. It's to see what happens on the floor. So it's kind of like, and I don't know if he said this specifically, but they did talk about the book that you have out here that we were going to probably talk about some, I'm assuming, that closed guard book. They're talking about how, innovation and stuff like that's happening, and people don't really think about it in the moment, what's going on and stuff like that. And I'm sorry, I forgot my main train of thought. What was I saying right before that?
You talking about with the closed guard book?
Yeah, what was I saying about the data?
You're talking about how they're extracting data from high level competition.
Yeah, and so from over time, that's basically what he's been trying to do, and that's what they did essentially with judo. Was after the war, they weren't allowed necessarily to do the full-fledged jiu-jitsu quote anymore, and so they only started doing the throws and stuff like that to make it more of a sport. But then when it got to Brazil, the way it got to Brazil, they started doing it, and they focused more on the ground stuff. And that's what made jiu-jitsu, like Brazilian jiu-jitsu that we know it today, versus judo, which is what was jiu-jitsu before, but they took away the ground part, the newaza, And so it's kind of what Eddie's doing now. I guess that's the circle I was trying to make with the combat jiu-jitsu stuff and everything. Is like, we know how it's going to end up on the feet with unarmed combat. We know. And we know what's going to happen if you wrestle back up to your feet. People are going to just keep wrestling back up and fighting on their feet. But what happens when you make people stay on the ground? And John Jock says like 70-something% of the fights is what they've kind of figured out end up on the ground anyway at some point. So then of that, that's a higher percentage of most fights, you can say, end up on the ground. So then of most fights, how do most fights end on the ground? What's safe on the ground? Leg locks? Well, you'll get hit in the face. Well, not all of them.
Yeah.
Some of them, you won't get hit in the face. And used to, and Eddie was right too, is like he nailed this about MMA coaches, is like leg locks used to be like this is what you do as time is running out, and this is like nothing else is working, last ditch effort. Like I remember coaches telling us that, like, if he's going for a leg lock on you right now, he's just desperate, so he's already breaking, and that's true. And that it was so funny to hear that again, because I haven't thought about that way in a long time, but now we've kind of, it's not true.
Yeah.
So I think that's the answer to the 10th planet thing, is like, everybody's confident enough in what they know. So don't get me wrong. And I'm sure there are some people who are kind of know-it-alls, I'm sure, but they also keep it real. And everybody knows that it's proven through the competition who's doing what wins and where. It's not that I think this is what you do. It's like, see what he just did? See what they are doing overall? That's what's winning. That's what's working.
So is that your goal for this competition, the Mid-South Classic?
It's an iteration of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to keep collecting data, and I want our team to be a part of that. I want to have my hand in forward, moving that forward, If we build into combat jiu-jitsu interested people, then yeah, I would love to have guys interested in that, because I think I have a good understanding of what that looks like and what that would be like with my MMA background and the background now in the submission only game that I have, where a lot of guys that are still kind of coming over, they're mostly still MMA guys that don't really do submission only.
Is the combat jiu-jitsu the same time limits as sub only? So like 10 minutes, 20 minutes?
10 minutes, and then you can do the overtime after that. There's no striking in the overtime stuff.
Oh.
So, like that's say, is like you'll see some MMA guys come over that are really good MMA guys, and they'll end up losing in combat jiu-jitsu because it's just such a different dynamic. And then you can't just close your hand and start swinging wildly. You have to be pretty judicious with your strikes, because you're hitting with an open hand. And it's not, and if you're just slapping, you're not doing it right.
I've heard it's a lot like the old, like, Boss Rutan.
It's old
like,
pancrase stuff. It's pancrase.
Yeah.
Just they're taking the standing out.
Open palm.
Taking the stand-up, striking away. But it's pancrase without stand-up. No striking, like, no kicking. He wanted to do up kicks, but they wouldn't allow it.
What about elbows?
Won't allow it.
No.
They tell me how to do MMA. then it might as well have to be some other form of MMA, which will require all kinds of other doctors and commissioning and
Money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's what we can do. And for us, there's a lot of MMA stuff around here, and I think there's really good MMA promotions and stuff around that. Again, that's not really what I do. I'm not really doing MMA. So if there's combat jiu-jitsu stuff somewhere, I would maybe lend a student or something or people to that. But our main focus is the jiu-jitsu. So like the EBI style tournaments or the Mid-South or whatever we end up being with that, that's why I want to do it, because it makes me excited. I like seeing people compete that way. I think I want our students to be that way. We don't coach to points that much. We talk about it, but we talk about how to score points on the way to finish. You know, it's not points for points' sake. Because you need to know, but you don't have to build that scarcity mindset. Jiu-jitsu is what I kind of think of that as a lot of times, where you're that points advantage kind of grappler. And I say that because that's what I thought of as myself once I kind of pulled back that curtain on what I was actually doing. It's like, I'm just keeping positional dominance. And it's like, no, you're actually scared to open up, because if you open up, they might sweep or submit you. And it's like,
then you might lose.
Yep.
By rest decision.
Might actually lose then by submission. And then if you lose by rest decision on top, you just rest decision. That's like one of those little things you can say. Oh, it's a rest decision, bro. And I still say stuff like that sometimes because I'm still proud of some of those rest decisions I've gotten to from other ways. But even in some of those that I'm kind of proud of, I realized that had I maybe opened up a little bit more, maybe I would have lost. Maybe they would have submitted me or whatever. Or maybe I actually would have submitted them instead of getting all the way to that rest decision. You know, and so it's just a mindset choice that you got to make. And I don't think either is wrong, but I know the one that I like the most to identify with. And it's the guy that's going to open up and show his style and feel willing to go out there and not lose for the sake of just saying, you know, losing, but to lose in a way that you're actually competitive. You're trying to do your thing. You're showing what you say, you know.
Right.
Because it's easy to do that in MMA or in a striking situation, I felt like. Because if I hit you, you're going to move and you're going to respect it. Or if you don't, then I'm going to keep hitting you until the referee stops it. And then that's technically a submission or whatever. Like, guys will do that. They hide. And it's no disrespect to people, but it's a way out. It's the way out. It's like if you get buzzed a little bit, you go down, you cover up, you know the referee's going to stop it. It's an agreement that the referee makes with you in the back during the rules meeting, technically. Like, if you're not fighting back, I'm going to say it. And if you don't fight back, I'm going to stop it. Like, so that's that agreement. I've even had referees tell me, if you want me to save you and I ask you or something, make eye contact and then look away from me or something like that. And I'll wave it off to save you the disgrace or whatever, however you feel like. Because it's their job.
Yeah.
They're not calling you a punk. They're not saying anything else. They're trying to save you from being really hurt, and so you can still save face. So now when I watch fights, I can see guys doing it.
Oh, when they fall. Yeah.
And it's not bad. They're about to get beat up. Worse. It's over. Like, if you feel that way, it's over. You're not going to be able to fight back. Maybe you could.
Yeah.
Like, you could probably, but you're not. And so you cover up, and it's a honorable way out rather than just tapping in the open space from somebody hitting you hard.
You don't want to tap the punches.
Nobody wants to tap to a punch, but I can do this cover thing and let you hit my arms 4 or 5 times, and then they'll stop it. And so that's what takes away from the high-level jiu-jitsu and MMA. Because I'm not going to try to submit you if I got to just drum your head a little bit with no real hard stuff. I don't give up any base. I don't give up anything to just kind of wrap your head a little bit.
So what does it take in the combat jiu-jitsu to get that type of stuff called the strikes? Because I've seen they've called a few of them to strikes, but I mean, how bad does it have to get?
Pretty bad. And I think the early one that we saw get stopped with Wagner Ocha.
The one that's pointing at you, pointed at me. Yeah.
I think the one with Wagner and Nate Orchard didn't quite make it.
Almost.
The one with that one got stopped because it was such an earlier iteration of it that they weren't exactly sure how far to let those things go sometimes. But he was not answering the strikes in an MMA kind of way, I guess I would say. He wasn't respecting that defensively the way that an MMA referee would want you to.
Okay.
And so that's why Beltran stopped that one. Not necessarily because he was really getting hurt, but I think it's the same thing in combat jiu-jitsu, unfortunately. Sometimes if I can overwhelm you with the strikes.
Bye.
See you, Brendan.
Have a good day.
I think it's still the same thing.
Right.
Like, you still can overwhelm it. That's still showing dominance. That's still showing maybe your jiu-jitsu is better. That's what I'm saying. So, like, it's a perspective thing. If getting there and getting the dominant position to where I can hit you and you can't get out, that is still showing better jiu-jitsu. I think so. But also, I do think and know it's true that for me, when I've been in situations where people are striking me, the more that they do try to hit me, the more that I can actually escape.
Yeah, like it opens them up when they go. Yeah.
So, like you hear me say in class a lot of times too, but like everything I say, the opposite of what I say is also true. Like, I use my strikes to open you up when I'm on top, but then also when I'm striking a lot of times, if I'm not being judicious, like I said, it's going to open me up for you to escape from the bad position because I'm not able to hold you down because I'm using strikes, and strikes require motion and force, and they make my balance and weight distribution move around. So that allows you ability to get out if you're not stupid. And a lot of people are stupid. Or they just want to wrestle up. And so that takes away from the level of jiu-jitsu and overall stuff. But that's why combat jiu-jitsu puts you back on your ground. You know, that's the part I like more than MMA, honestly. I do. I like watching it more. I like watching combat jiu-jitsu better than MMA too. I do. Because most MMA now is just wrestle boxing.
Not as technical.
Wrestle kickboxing.
Technical. Yeah.
It's all stand-up based because that's all people want to see. That's all they incentivize.
All the rule sets incentivize it and put it into where it's the most important thing. They're going to stand you up.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I wish there was one long round.
I agree.
You want to fight a 15-minute fight, 3 5s? Just fight 15 minutes straight. No water, no breaks. If you need a break, you lost. It's over.
Or learn how to control the action to where
that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no break though.
Yeah.
Like, there's no break. You gotta win the fight to get a break.
You're in a fight. Yeah.
It's 15 minutes. It's not like, that's so stupid to me in a way to think about that. It's like, why do people fight that way? Is that the history of warfare in some way that where they would give you a break and you would like regroup and then come right back in? I guess maybe
like your great what would it be, great grandpappy, what would have been like 4 grandpas through would have been people lining up across from each other and
just
hurling shots. So yeah, I think humans have dumb reasons for
honor.
Warfare.
It's about honor or whatever. Like, I guess so. But like, to me though, now being the grappler and understanding jiu-jitsu the way that I understand jiu-jitsu, I need, not always, but I need the longer round sometimes to get a person in that deep water. Like, a really athletic, strong person that may not even be that good can defend my stuff or thrash me around.
Oh, for 3 minutes?
Like, I've had
100%
D1 wrestlers or even NFL defensive linemen come in and train.
100%.
They know nothing. So, of course, I can tap them out in not a long time sometimes, depending on how hard I'm willing to go. But depending on how hard they want to go, it's also a wild ride for 3 minutes or so, like you said, because that's about, they don't have a huge threshold for that type of workload. But I've experienced that because I'm a heavyweight. So guess what? It doesn't matter how heavy your weight is. If you're a heavyweight, when they come visit, you got to be the one, and it's fun now, but it used to not be fun because I couldn't do anything with those kind of guys. They would just thrash me the whole time. But then, now I understand, like I said, the way I understand jiu-jitsu is I can't match your force with force, not directly. I got to bump into it just enough to make you overreact. And then that's when I'll get my advantage. Like, that's my understanding of the gentle way. And not meaning that I can't hurt you and won't hurt you, but that I'm not going to use blunt force only.
Just to beat your way through the
Right.
door, just
I'm
like
not
kicking it in, and that's how we're gonna do it.
and see that to me that's wrestling or fighting or however you want to classify the two.
Forcing your will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like, there's nothing wrong with being a wrestler. That's what I'm saying. It's perspective. But if you want to call it jujitsu, to me, it's more of a passive style. You know, it's a martial art. So it's a passive style of martial arts, though. You know what I mean? It's kind of, and you can use it like there's a time, especially in competition and in a live environment where you need to go hard. Like I can't say never use strength and never rely on your physical attributes, because flexibility is an attribute too that you would rely on in the passive style of stuff too. Like you need to be more flexible. Well,
You can be passive and strong too.
right, exactly. That's what I mean. It's like I'm not being passive in a way that's like, here, take my whole arm and now I'm gonna defend. It's like I give you the impression of the arm and then it's gone. And that's how I get you to move.
Be like water, maybe
Something like that. Some weird
Some smart guy said that.
Some people say things and it's so cliche and you don't think about it, and then you do think about it one time and you're like, oh wow, that just makes so much sense now. And that thing, it really does, man. It's like I want to become attached to you. I want to get to where I need to go. I want to do it without having to struggle. The more that I struggle, the harder it is for me. So I want to do it easily. I want to just like cut through the path. And it's slow and it's steady. But eventually it becomes just like the big rush that you can't stop. And it's so true in jiu-jitsu that way. Like I hit a rock, well, it's just a little trickle of water. You put a rock out there, it's going to kind of go out and around, and it may go right back into the same path, or it might stay out here a little bit more because that's the easiest way. Or now it may get to spread out on more surface area, and now there's more weight in other places. Like passing guard. That's really the way I think about the water kind of thing, is it like in a guard passing scenario. That's why I say like the waves crashing on people for pressure instead of pressure like a vice. Because that's a good pressure to have. But pressure like you can't breathe pressure, because every time you come up for breath, there is none. You know what I mean? There's more water coming onto that space. Your frames are just, and then eventually let me get to the inside. And then once I'm inside, it's all over then, essentially. You know what I mean? You've already lost, kind of. Not always, but metaphorically, And that's, as a coach, it's crazy how much of that stuff you have to do. Like the philosophical side of it really matters more than you might even think as a philosophical kind of guy.
How often is that? Because, I mean, you have the student that's like having a kid, I would imagine, that like looks up at you and goes, yeah, but why?
I mean, there's stuff like that too, but it's just like, even just regular people like we were talking about before in class, like they'll have a thing and they're like, just do this. And it's like, well, that's not working. And it's like, but you're not doing it the way that I'm asking you to do it. You're doing it the way that you think I'm saying to do it. And that's not yielding you the results that I want and that you want, So do it with this understanding. And so it's like, that's where those parables from the Bible and all that stuff matter. It's because humans, they like that little story.
Be able to break it down.
They like to put it in relation to themselves. And that's the hard part about being coach, is that everybody needs their own little like parable thing or their own little reference that makes them tick, because they don't operate on the same frequencies. They're all in jiu-jitsu class, but they're all different people in life. They're hardcore metal people, they're country music listening people, there's right wing, left wing. I don't know what their thing is. I don't ask. You know what I mean?
But they're all on the same mat, training together.
And they got to know what I'm saying. They got to understand what I'm saying, because it's important to me that they understand what I'm saying. Like I need to understand. Like I need to have those little things to say, those little water references, those cliche things, and a bunch of them about as many of those little cliches about each situation that I can that will be relatable, because what's relatable to you is not what's relatable to people who are never grew up in America, who are now here now. Like, that was one of the craziest things to me is like my striking. And it's funny that the baseball stuff's on the wall here, but I had so many baseball references for striking stuff, like throwing and swinging and kicking, and the way that those things can interlate, like the footwork for striking and the footwork for throwing a baseball. Like, you don't really
the toe twist and the
you'll come overhand, like you can overhand throw an overhand, but you can also use that same like footwork that you would do like a hop step for a long throw to home plate
crow hop,
to throw a good hard straight if you know how to angle off and move with it. You know what I mean? So, and then like swinging the bat is the same reference for swinging your legs. Like, I'm trying to cut all the way through. You're not swinging to the ball. I'm swinging through the ball.
Yeah.
If I want to block strikes, I don't want to like reach out and like be swatting all crazy. I want to catch it, and then I can maybe misdirect the angle and get ready to throw, right? Misdirect, hop, throw, in a micro version, of that kind of micro. If that didn't come out clear, not macro, but in a little small
micro.
Yeah, in a variation. You know what I mean? Like those kind of like, to me, when someone made those references to me, I grew up playing a lot of baseball as a kid, and those things were, to me, I was like, oh, okay. But then there's these guys, like there's this Israeli guy, for instance, that was just awesome, like raw power, would do anything I asked him to kind of do, but he did not understand the baseball references at all because he never played baseball. They never played it where he was at. He
had no concept of
there's no reason. Yeah. Why? Huh? What? You had to catch it like this?
Why would you catch?
Yeah. 2 hands. It's like, no, you gotta have one glove and like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like a football or like a basketball or anything like that, too. It's like, no, it's a smaller one that you would catch in your glove and like you hit it with a cricket or whatever. And he was like, I don't think I played cricket either. Yeah, he was just that guy, but he also did a lot of other things, and he was like a destroyer of worlds when he got turned up. Like, he was terrifying to spar with. But he didn't understand baseball references.
Huh.
So I had to come up with a whole like other set of references for people that.
Do you
didn't
think
know
having
baseball.
this tournament going on in your, like, it's not an in-house tournament, but having this tournament occurring, has that helped your students kind of like figure out like, oh, this is what we're doing?
Oh, for sure, because you could see the light bulbs going off on some of them's eyes that day, because I say what I say in class a lot, but it's still really abstract. But to see the same things that I've, like people trying to game the rule set, or people trying to go harder than they should.
Trying to win.
Yeah. What you would expect at a real competition is not what we see every day in class. Even if you're in a high-level academy that's got experienced people, nobody's actually trying to break each other every day. But in a tournament or a real high-level competition, they're going to break you if you don't tap. You know what I mean? So I wanted them to be able to experience that up close without having to be the ones that had to experience it in person, so to say. Like,
to feel the downsides of it. Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times guys that, like, again, we were lucky being new. So I've been experimenting a lot with the culture stuff here, and I haven't pushed competition as a whole, but I do talk a lot about it, and I compete a lot of, myself and stuff. So, like, again, with the tournament stuff, it's just important to me. Like, I like it. I like having stuff around me like that. I like talking to these people who want to compete in these things. When I get to meet them and stuff and watching them compete up close, I get to see things play out. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's really cool. And then people rise to the occasion. And sometimes people fall down to the level of people they're competing against sometimes too, and it's interesting to see those things as a competitor, because competition and jiu-jitsu are different. You can compete at jiu-jitsu, but you don't have to. You can be good at jiu-jitsu and terrible at competition. Like, we all know the guy that's the best at the gym that loses every time he touches a competition mat.
Yeah.
It's a different thing. It's different. And I'm not to say who's what or why. I think the guys that aren't great competitors but are great in the gym, they're just as valuable to the team and different things like that. But they're definitely not out there in the middle of everything, mixing it up and getting that data for themselves in a real kind of way, because they don't thrive under that kind of pressure.
Do you think it's really because I've noticed too that there's certain situations like, especially since I've explored the leg lock game, is that like guys will like explode out of things that you're like, man, if we were in competition and I was like willing to break your leg,
I mean, for sure. It's just like when I was fighting and stuff, and you would get this dude's probably sparring. If we take the shin pads off, you're not walking through my kicks to come in here and grab me either. Like guys used to walk through my kicks to hit me, and it's like, bruh, if I took my shin pads off, you would not take that kick. It's not that hard. That's the point.
or you wouldn't
Like,
swing your
it
leg
would
that
ding
hard
you.
without a shin pad.
Right, exactly.
That's an argument I've had with
no,
people.
that's what like I would though.
Yeah, you would because you may have the shin conditioning.
But you're coming in and banging on me every time I throw my kicks. So I'm gonna throw one hard at you to make you understand it, and it may hurt me, but that's a trade I'm willing to make in a fight. You know, and so I agree. I wouldn't be spamming my kicks at you the same way, but you won't be running in on
straight
me
through
either,
them.
but
Yeah,
once.
yeah.
You know, and then you'll understand that kick's coming.
Straight
so
up boom.
I won't have to send it like that again. You know, so it's the same thing with the jiu-jitsu. Like some things you got to send it. They're not gonna tap. And some people like. I was watching that the new Craig Jones, like triangles to stuff, whatever, and he was talking about that stuff with Vinny, and he's like, I felt his break, and then I realized, oh shit, he's countering mine to break me back, and so I escaped, and that's why it was kind of weird, and I was like, oh, that's such like, Vinny was already broken, he didn't lose yet though. If he broke Craig or if Craig tapped, he won. Craig broke his leg though, but Craig didn't get his leg broke, but he was going to tap. Like, Chris Craig's like, I'm going to tap. He's like, unless it's my last match of my life, like I'm retiring.
Yeah. It's not worth it.
But he's like, but Vinny's taking pops and lots of other things and other kind of situations. He was like, so like, it was something I had to think about. He's like, and it was a weird thing. He's like, until you've broken someone's leg, you don't know that you have the breaking mechanics to do that. And it's kind of like, I say that about other positions too. It's like, I'm not going out there necessarily in the tournament to intentionally break your arm or dislocate your shoulder. I am going to keep it extending or rotating until that might happen though, because it's up to you to tap. And if that happens really fast and dynamically, that's competition.
Yeah, that's I haven't caught anybody that way in any of my leg games that like that's I haven't felt it yet. Yeah.
I'm gonna tap in competition if I'm caught. Like if
me
caught,
too.
If I know I'm stuck, I'm gonna tap. If I don't think I'm stuck, then I may have accidents and things happen. You know what I mean? But if I don't feel like you have me, I'm not gonna tap. But that takes time. That takes practice. That takes going into there and understanding it. And guess what? That probably takes competition reps at it. Because at first I thought I had it, and then I would go into a tournament. I've had my ankle pop pretty bad in a tournament because I didn't want to tap in that moment because I thought maybe I'll be able to squeeze it out in just a second, but it didn't. It didn't. Didn't happen. So that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of the good advice I have for people is because I did the opposite thing, and so I know that you should at least not do that thing. So trust me, do the opposite of this thing. You know, like there's a lot of the good advice I think I've got at this point. Like I've won and lost a lot, so that I've got good perspectives on how to win and how to close out. But then I've also chosen the wrong path enough times. I feel like that's given me some valuable losses, which other people would try to reframe as there's no losses, there's lessons. I used to be that guy too, but now I like to think of everything as it is. It's a win and a loss. It's competition. There's competition, and then there's jiu-jitsu. So I got some good lessons for my jiu-jitsu, but I lost the competition. They're both true.
So it can be you can lose, but you can still learn from losing.
You can lose, but you're not a loser.
You
know, you could be a great plumber, but just have a bad jiu-jitsu day.
True. And it could just be a bad day.
Yeah. I mean, it make you a loser as a human. It makes you a loser as a human and be quitting, and being a bad person, abusing your spouse and kids and human trafficking and shit like that.
Yeah. Different things make you a loser.
Yeah. Not having a bad day at the New Breed.
not rolling into the noggin, having a bad day.
I'm down there at the New Breed, man. I just think I'm just gonna retire. It's like, what? You didn't even have a career.
You didn't even go.
Your job is grocery cart.
So we've got this structure with the tournament going on and that kind of
Yes.
idea.
Let's talk about that.
You know, yeah, let's go into some of the
Specifically of
details.
that.
Like you definitely want to see about the community out there that wants to be involved, people that want to plug in, right?
Yeah, so that's the thing. I don't really know for sure exactly how we're going to do it. We've got a lot of things, like I said, in the works that are Stephen Aiken specifically things, and then things that are kind of related to the tournament directly. So there's a lot of ways that people could help get involved with us as a whole, because we have a lot of projects like the PGF coming up that you and I are going to be working together, getting content from me competing and traveling and that kind of stuff, which is going to directly lead into more stuff for the tournament, and all those things are going to like link up together into hopefully this bigger thing for all of us that we can turn into what we're not talking about on the air so much later on. But with that, man, we definitely want and need the support of some good people that are interested in what we're doing. You know, that would want to sponsor us, or maybe provide us with some things that would help. Maybe like if your company has something really dope, that would be a good promotional item for someone that wins the tournament or whatever, you know, like Dot Susara or someone. Maybe we can reach out and get some, like, you know, there's a lot of different like ideas with things like that. If you don't want to donate straight cash, we can figure out product that would go to
That's
our
been the main
competitors
thing that
and-
is the
and
selling
stuff.
point on this
Um,
tournament, though, is
Yeah.
the cash.
Yeah, and so we want cash.
Yeah.
And so if you want to donate that and it's the season, have write-offs and things like that, maybe we can definitely have it directly as a sponsorship tied that you can have a tax.
Because last go round we had what? It was a $250 bonus to the first twister, which no one had a twister in the last one.
Twister. There was a submission of the day tournament bonus. There was $50 per submission bonus. Like I said, this one we're gonna just kind of keep it in house a little bit more, because it doesn't seem we didn't get the hard hits yet for that one, but maybe after today we're going to be able to get it. But going into the next one, it's going to definitely have a bigger vibe to it, because we already have more people that are interested and on board going forward. I just think this one right here at the turn of the new year,
Your first of the year, people just came out of the new holidays.
and we had a couple people that actually popped, you know, and got sick. People around them got sick, you know. So there was one person that was sick, and then one person that someone around them got sick, and then another person that didn't want to travel this far without a guaranteed people signed up yet. And so then like we had 5 or 6 different weights, or men and women that were committed and uncommitted at different times. And so it's been a bit of a cluster to try to promote. And so I've been hesitant to jump online a lot about it, because I don't know what it's going to look like on this one yet. But going forward, we have a lot of structure in place we've been meeting about now, and a lot of big, really big stuff coming up this year, I think, if we can get it going in the right direction. So we definitely are looking for people to partner with, to get your brand out there through our branding. We got this YouTube channel. We're doing a lot on TikTok, and I don't understand it, but we're learning.
Are you
that.
dancing? Are you
I'm
doing
not
TikTok
dancing. I
dances?
will dance. I will
Hey,
dance.
How many followers do you need to get a TikTok dance out of you on
Oh.
this channel, on the YouTube channel? Where are you at? We're at like 80.
We're like 89
89?
subscribers.
So if we crack like the 150, would we get a dance?
Yeah, if we do 150, we'll do a little poll or something, and we'll figure out whatever the
did we
whatever
did
the
you ever
trendy
think
thing
that you were
is.
gonna did you ever think you were gonna be doing the dancing for followers?
Is this selling out? I don't know.
No, I don't think
I'm
so.
all for it.
I'm in. It's cool.
No, man, it's
I'll
the
hit
same thing.
record.
I've been dancing for money for my whole career, basically. It's just been a different kind of performance.
Yeah. What's
you
the
know?
difference in a cage?
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I've been in the eye since I've been doing this. That's part of the thing that's actually made it fun. And I didn't realize all that before. It's like it is a performance, going out there and competing and things like that. And that's kind of what I was saying with the sub only versus the points kind of style. Like, I like it to be more of a performance, and I wish I would have always had that mindset. I think my whole career in life would have been better in a lot of ways had I always felt that way. So I'm trying to express that and put that kind of stuff out into the world and get other people to start expressing themselves through jiu-jitsu, and then this medium that we have now where, you know, one of the students is who created our website. One of our students is who helped design our last rash guard with Eager Ones. like his kind of concept and idea of some stuff that I like. He just kind of drew a sketch, and I was like, oh, let me send that to somebody that does rash guards. And then they came up with that dope Skeletor rash guard stuff. So it's like, I like that. And with you, you know, we're working on getting creative with the tournament stuff, and with like my personal brand, whatever the hell that means at this point. You know what I mean? What's that going to look like? You know,
You'd be like Gary Vee of jiu-jitsu.
so we're working through it. You know, we're working through all that stuff together, and I'm really excited that this video is going to probably be one of the first ones that's going to like be able to look back and say, this is what we were talking about and thinking about at the beginning of it, you know, because, you know, it's what, the 5th or 6th of January.
Mm-hmm.
The 5th or 6th of January of next year is going to be way different because of all the cool stuff that we've got going on this year.
Cool.
What do you think?
I think so. I think you're onto something with the tournaments. I was attracted to the whole concept because it's like the ability. I mean, the ability, even if it's a small tournament, you get, you know, 4 or 5 people. That's $400 or $500 that you can walk home with.
Well, yeah.
You don't get that in New Breed.
So you got a new breed, there might be 1 or 2 people in your division.
You get a cool belt.
You're still going to
maybe.
pay them $100.
Yeah.
You're going to get to roll one time if you lose. So at least this way, you get a chance to maybe win some money. And then if you don't even win your bracket, we still pay you for doing something cool. If you'll do something cool, you know, I think that's where the incentive for the submissions come in. And that's why I liked the way we did that. Because I want you to do some cool stuff. Like, you can win by going to overtime all 3 times and then win on escape time and all the overtimes and all you can do that. But that's boring, you know?
Yeah, I'd be teaching seminars on that.
All escapes all the time. Just bridge. I mean,
$59.99.
we're gonna see. We're gonna get proof of concept on that. So coming up, we're gonna send them out to the world.
TBH.
That's gonna be interesting. But anyways, man. So I guess like I came in here today to do this thing with y'all. This is the first time we've been in the studio, so it still feels a little bit weird, kind of leading from here. So I'm gonna be growing into this spot kind of from being in a real studio, because I usually do all my recording from my phone by myself.
You've been doing Anchor, right?
Yeah, just doing everything by myself, usually with nobody around, or remote recording with people and stuff like that. So this is fun. It's another step in that direction, you know. So thank you to Brandon Veal here for like letting us use the studio. And
I think we're calling this Parkway Automotive Studios.
Parkway Automotive Studios. Here we go, baby. Run it. So there you go. We're plugging things for you guys. What's up? Y'all get some used cars down here. We on Russell Parkway.
I think so. I don't know if he's working out all the details.
We're working out the kinks on that.
I just know that it's got a studio here now.
Yeah, it's Parkway Motors, and we're recording live. Sometimes.
Sometimes. maybe we'll be in undisclosed locations, but and then
it's gonna move around, dude. That's what you guys have got to stay tuned for. Is like the locations are definitely gonna be changing a lot this year, within the Southeast, and then we're definitely going international this year too, maybe more than once.
It's like Street Fighter in real life,
bruh. Let's do it. I'll kill a guy on the boat.
Give him. Give them the dates. Let them know the dates.
So for the tournament, January the 16th is the day that we're going to do the next, what we're calling the Mid-South this time again, Classic 2 Women's Open Weight. So if you're interested in that and you see this video,
still got spots.
You hear my voice. We have 2 or 3 of those spots available. Otherwise, it's going to end up being probably just the 4 or 5, and then we may end up throwing the cash in just to incentivize them for coming on anyway and paying out $800 to that winner anyway. And then for the dudes, I think we need 2 more. If I look at my phone after this is over, there'll probably be 3 more dropouts from that one. But
no, we're not going to think that way. We're not going to think that way. We're going to have a great. We're going to have a great one.
No, it's going to be awesome, dude. So like, there's 3 or 4 of the guys that are in there that have been in there since the beginning that I really wanted to get some hype out and like start talking about and stuff like that. So that's what we're gonna do once we get the brackets rounded out, because I don't want people to not show up because once they find out some people are in it, because that's what happened kind of last time.
We need to start dropping the brackets like 48 hours.
No, we need to drop the brackets the day of.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you don't have time to go, that's who's in it? Yeah. Never mind.
Nope, that's it. There's no more. Like, I learned that with the last one. People were angling to not go against their teammate and different things like that. And then they didn't show up, or they got, something happened and the teammate didn't come, or something, so we're going to wait. I'm going to generate the brackets probably that morning, usually, until we figure out like a seeding and champions. Like, eventually we'll have champions. and things that
Come
will
get
carry
that
over.
belt, yo.
And then maybe we'll do some seeding off of stuff like that once we've got some data.
Then
once we
start
have
the
data.
southeast, start a
And-
trail,
and
go
then we can
between us
start-
and Brandon.
Yeah,
go
between everywhere.
go
Where do y'all want to
down,
go?
international.
Yeah, we can bring
we
it
go to the
around.
moon,
We'll have a traveling circus, man, and if
hit a
any-
beeline. We go to Mars.
Down, son. United States to space. Either way, much love, everybody. Thank you again, Isaac, and thank you again, Brandon, here at the Parkway Studios. This is super cool.
Cool.
Peace.